Which windscreen is the best one for the Lowrider ST? This Clearview windshield or the 10-inch windscreen from Klock Werks? All right, so currently I have the Clearview Shields 10-inch windscreen on here right now, and I've been running this for a while. And this is just a look at what it looks like. You can see it is the medium smoke, and you kind of come around here and see how it does a recurve. And I have the Klock Werks 10-inch right here, so we'll kind of put these two together so we can see the size difference. And you can see the Clearview is definitely bigger on each side, so it does give you a little bit bigger rider pocket with the Clearview. And here you can see the difference at the top. They're both the same size, however the recurve is definitely more noticeable on the Klock Werks there. It does come out, it does flip out a little bit more than the Clearview. So I want to see if this more of a lip on the Klock Werks works any better than the one on the Clearview. So since we have the Clearview on the bike already, let's take it out and see what kind of wind protection we get with this one. So I've actually been using this Clearview 10-inch one for about a month now, and do prefer it over the stock windscreen or even the Harley-Davidson 10-inch one. The stock windscreen sits much lower, and all the wind was just coming straight at me into my visor, and I was getting a lot of bugs on my visor as well. So I switched over to the Harley-Davidson 10-inch one, and that one worked much better. It made it to where the wind was hitting me at the top of the helmet instead of directly in the visor, so it did push that up. And then again, I wasn't getting any more bugs on my visor at that point either. The one thing I don't like about that one is I definitely get some head buffeting, especially at higher speeds, 55 plus. And then also the look of it, it really isn't tinted. There's like a slight tint to it, but not much. So I wanted to check out the Clearview windshield and Klock Werks. At the time, the Klock Werks 10-inch wasn't in stock. And I've tried out every size with the Clearview and determined that the 10-inch is the perfect one for me, or the large. I guess this is large, if you want to call it, but pretty much the same size as the 10-inch and all the other ones. So this one's pretty much just like the Harley-Davidson 10-inch, but it does give you a little bit more of a rider pocket because it is wider, about an inch or two on each side. And then that recurve does help a little bit. The wind is kind of, I can feel the wind right here, just at the top of my helmet. So it does still hit the helmet. It doesn't go completely up and over, but the large fits me better than the medium. Medium was too small, and I was getting a lot of buffeting on my head. And the extra large was too tall to where I couldn't actually see over that windscreen. So at my height, which is 5'10", and I am on the stock seat, this one seems to be doing the best. And this is a little bit darker tint. They have several options available. I went with the medium gray with this large from Clearview. So as far as the rider pocket goes, think about right here where my hand is where you get some wind. I definitely get a lot less wind on my chest than I did even with the Harley-Davidson 10-inch. So it does take a little bit more wind off of you. But again, we're going about 60 miles an hour right now. I'm not getting that much head buffeting, if any at all. I do have some crosswinds, but yeah, the wind hits me right here, kind of where the vent is at the top of my helmet. But it's not as harsh as the Harley-Davidson 10-inch was, because that has no recurve, so it just points right back at you. So I definitely got more noticeable head buffeting with that one than this Clearview large. I am able to open my visor on this one, but I do get wind in the face, so it's not something that I'm going to travel with for a long period of time. But if I get hot or my visor fogs up, I am able to lift the visor a little bit. But again, I do feel wind kind of coming into the helmet, and probably enough to where it'd be comfortable at highway speeds for a long period of time, but you are able to lift it up. Now that we're back, let's go ahead and swap these out. They're really easy to do. You just unscrew these, and I'm going to actually reuse these, so go ahead and get this swapped out. All right, so we got the Klock Werks windshield on here, and you just want to do these hand tight. You don't want to over tighten those at all. So this is what it looks like. You can definitely see that profile is much different than the Clearview shield that was on here. So we'll see if that extra recurve adds any benefit or not. All right, so right off the bat, I do notice a lot more wind on my body. I feel it more on my arms and chest than I did with the Clearview. So the rider pocket is definitely smaller with the Klock Werks, but with the Klock Werks, I am able to see more over the windscreen than I was with the Clearview. So I have more of a field of view, especially since you have these cuts on the other side. And it does seem like I'm able to see over this one slightly more than the Clearview. So you definitely have more visibility around the windscreen with the Klock Werks than you did with the Clearview. But then that definitely affects your rider pocket and how much wind you're going to get on you. One other thing I noticed is on the Klock Werks, there's a little bit more distortion if you're looking through the windscreen than on the Clearview. On the Clearview, it's pretty clear. There's not very much distortion, if any at all. But I think the way this one is curved, there's a little bit more distortion when I do look at kind of down towards the road through the windscreen itself. So since the rider pocket is smaller on this, I am getting more kind of wind noise in my helmet than I was with the Clearview. And as far as wind hitting me on the helmet, kind of about in the same spot. You'll see, I don't know if you can see where my hand is, but kind of again right where that vent is. So I get nothing, very little right here, the top of my visor, but if I lift my hand a little bit, my hand gets pushed into my helmet. So right here is where you're getting the wind, at least for me, again, 5'10" on a stock seat. So kind of about the same place on top of my helmet as I was getting with the Clearview, but I am getting more wind on my body. I can definitely feel a lot more now. Riding on the same road, going the same way we were at the Clearview, I definitely feel more wind on me. But still, as far as buffeting goes, I'm not getting too much buffeting. We're going about 60 miles an hour with the crosswinds. So definitely less buffeting than I got with the Harley-Davidson 10-inch. And the tint on this one is darker than the one on the Clearview. The Clearview, it is their medium smoke. With this, it is the dark smoke. And as of right now, when I'm doing this video, that's the only option available for Klock Werks is a dark smoke. So it is darker than the Clearview one I had, but during the day, I don't think it's going to make a huge difference. I have plenty of vision around the windscreen to where I don't have to look through it or anything unless I'm looking like something directly in front of my wheel or something. But even though this is darker, I don't think it's going to be a huge issue. And I do personally like the look or aesthetic of this dark smoke than the Clearview one. The dark smoke color looks better with the blacked out bike anyway. The Clearview is not bad. It is obviously lighter, so it's more of a gray color than this one is kind of more on the darker side, so it looks aesthetically better with the black paint with this dark smoke. All right, so we're going to take this one on the highway to see how it compares to the Clearview. All right, so going around 75, I definitely feel a lot more wind on my arms and shoulders than I did with the Klock Werks. As I said earlier, more wind noise in my helmet just because you have less protection. And again, if you can see my hand, kind of where if I lift it up, my hand gets kind of slapped into my helmet right where my venting is at the top. So it's not going up and over the helmet, it's still hitting me kind of at the top. But the wind buffeting itself on my helmet isn't bad. It's pretty comparable to the Clearview Shield. All right, so final thoughts on both of these. The Clearview windshield gives you more rider protection, so it's going to give you a bigger and better rider pocket, so it's going to keep a little bit more wind off of you, especially on your arms and shoulders, versus the Klock Werks. With that, obviously you're going to feel more wind on the Klock Werks, but you also have more visibility around the windshield, so you can look over and kind of around the sides without having to look through the windshield. So it's kind of a toss-up there. If you don't mind the extra wind on you, then the Klock Werks is good there. But if you want some more wind protection, say especially with winter coming up, I think the Clearview is going to be better for that, and maybe even longer trips with that extra protection. This is definitely a good one, I would say, for the summer. Get a little more breeze on you when it's hot. Now, as far as tint option goes, I'm going to have to give that one to Clearview just because you get more options. So you have anywhere from kind of light to darker tint available with Clearview, whereas as of right now, you just have this dark smoke tint with Klock Werks. However, Klock Werks does have different colors that they're coming out with too, so that's an option as well. But as far as the darkness of tints, you have more options with the Clearview. Price-wise, it goes to Clearview. The Clearview windshield with the large is right around $200, maybe less. It might have been actually closer to $180, but then obviously with shipping, you're around $200. The Klock Werks, before tax and shipping, you're at $250. So the Klock Werks is going to be more expensive. And this may be very minor, but some people like or don't like this. You do have the Klock Werks logo on the front of this one, whereas there's no logo and kind of just all clean on the Clearview. As far as buffeting and kind of where the wind hits my helmet, it's pretty much even with both windscreens. They both hit the very top of my helmet, right where the vent is. So neither one of them gets it quite over my helmet. Again, for reference, I'm 5'10" with a stock seat on a Lowrider ST. So both of them hit me in the helmet at the same spots. Wind buffeting on the highway and then going on these back roads, about the same as far as the helmet goes. Definitely not anywhere near as bad as the stock windscreen or even the Harley Davidson 10-inch. So both about the same in regards to where it hits you in the helmet. As far as wind noise in the helmet, I think you get a little bit more with the Klock Werks just because you have a smaller rider pocket than you do with the Clearview. So as far as wind noise in the helmet, I'm going to have to give that one a Clearview. And again, aesthetics wise, how it looks on the bike, I like the way the Klock Werks looks. I do love how just the overall style of it looks cool. I like that kind of curvy look to it. It is not quite as big as the Clearview, so I don't know. And then with the dark tints, I think the dark tint matches the look of the bike better, but personal preference on that one. But in my opinion, I think the Klock Werks looks better. But as far as performance wise goes, if you want as much wind off of you as possible, I would say go with the Clearview for sure. But luckily I own both, so I could swap between the two. I definitely think this one I'm going to use more when it's nice out or hot, and with winter coming up pretty much starting tomorrow, I'm going to probably swap it out for the Clearview. That way I get a little bit more of that cold wind off of me when it's, you know, below 50 degrees. So if you're trying to decide between these two windscreens, hopefully my experience with both of them gave you some pros and cons to each to see which one might be better for you, depending on your situation, where and how you're going to be riding. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions or anything on either one of these, or even with the other windscreens as far as the stock one or the Harley Davidson 10-inch. Like I said, I've also tried out the Clearview medium and their extra large. I should have videos coming up on those as well. So I definitely have experience with quite a bit of different windscreens, trying to find the right one for me. And honestly, personally, I think it's going to be between this one and the Clearview large that I'm going to kind of swap between. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button so you'll be notified when I come out with more videos on this bike, and check out these other videos that I have on the Lowrider ST. Thanks for watching.